My name's Serena McLean and I'm the Homebirth team leader at Peterborough and Stamford Hospitals. I've been asked to talk to you about setting up a Homebirth team. So we wanted to look at our Homebirth team because we had a very low rate of home births in our area. Our figures have been less than 1% for home births going back for many years, and the national average was 2.4%, and in many areas of the country it was a much higher rate than that. So we decided to have a look at our service, and there was a reconfiguration of our community services going on at the time anyway, so this was a good time to set up a home birth steering group. What we did first of all was we looked at what information was going from the community midwives to the women. So were they being given the information about the birth choices they had? We designed a questionnaire for the community midwives to complete, and the information that came back from that made us realise that we needed to do some work around the bringing the community midwives' knowledge up to the standard we needed to pass it to the women about the evidence that we currently had. So we decided to, first of all, do some initial tasks. We did a literature review and we looked at home birth across the country and nationally. And we looked at home birth teams, continuity of care models, and what was working best and which were most satisfactory for women. We also reviewed our home birth guidelines to bring them in line with the current evidence that we had. And we wanted to make sure that we had good information to the women in a written form to back up what the community midwives were saying and to act as an aid for the community midwives when they were talking to women about their birthing choices. And obviously to promote the idea of a home birth team at any opportunity with our management. So we have plenty of evidence to show that home birth teams were the way forward for increasing the home birth rate. We also had plenty of evidence from the Birthplace in England study to show that home birth was a cost-effective option for women and for the trust. So in October 2013, I had the opportunity to present to the head of midwifery the idea of setting up a home birth team and what the benefits for the women and our service would be. The answer was yes, we can do it, although at that time there was no opportunity for me to have any protected time to work on the project. The next year was a difficult one, and the project didn't move forward very significantly at all. So I went back to the head of midwifery, and in November 2014, she listened to what I needed, and she gave me some time out of my clinical workload to concentrate on setting up a home birth team. This made all the difference, and within 6 months, the home birth team went live on the 25th of May 2015. Also, during this time, I produced a booklet for the women called Deciding Where to Have Your Baby, and this was printed and was to be given to all pregnant women at booking, and it's also on the Trust website under birthing choices, so women can access it online. They can translate it online into different languages, so it's accessible for everybody. So the aims and objectives of our 3-year project was that it was a 3-year pilot project to increase the number of home births from our current figure of less than 1% to reach the figure of the national average, 2.4% or beyond, within that 3 years. We also wanted to make sure we were fully supporting women's choice of place of birth, and we wanted to provide as much continuity of carer as possible. We wanted women to achieve positive birth experiences, and we wanted to build a really good, strong team. When thinking about mapping the process along the way, I did make a plan of work, a loose plan of work, but I tended to work really from a big project book, wrote everything down, ideas, contacts, people who had given me information about what they'd learned along the way, deadlines, costings, everything went into the plan, the workbook. If I had any ideas while I was out and about, or I was working, or I was reading something, I'd put it on notes on my phone and then put it into the workbook. So I tackled many things simultaneously along the way, and I had regular meetings with my line manager and head of midwifery for support and to discuss the ideas and to gain agreement at certain stages of the project, which involved things like budgetary costs and that kind of thing. Once they could see that I was moving on with the project, that was really useful because I was given more time to carry on with it. And networking is really important because there's a lot of people out there who've been through this process already, and some will give you lots of help. I contacted lots of home birth teams and spent a day with the Surrey Hills home birth team with Tanya Ashton. She gave me lots of support along the way. I talked to one-to-one midwives and numerous other people connected with continuity of care models to see how it worked. And you've really got to pick out the bits that you think will work in your area and with the staff that you have. So recruitment was an interesting process. You need to capture your enthusiasts in your team. It's very important that the midwives know and are able to work within a continuity of care model and know about the commitment. So we did an internal advertisement, an expression of interest first of all, where we did informal interviews and recruited 2 members for the team. And it's quite important that you are very honest and realistic about the information that you give them right at the beginning. Following that, we did an external advertisement with NHS Jobs, and the opportunity to lead on that was excellent for me, a really good learning process. So from writing the job advertisement to shortlisting and recruiting, the whole process was really interesting. So we recruited another 2 midwives that way. So we now have a team of 5 midwives, 3 are full-time and 2 are 30 hours working. So we have a whole-time equivalent of 4.6 midwives. We work a 24-hour on-call system at present, but we're always looking at ways that we might change that. We have a first on-call home birth team midwife every day and up to 24 hours. And our second on call, if it's during the day and there's another home birth midwife around, she will be second on call. If it's during the night, we have a community midwife to be second on call. And the reason we wanted to do this was we wanted to keep good team working with the community midwives. We wanted to not be very separate, and we wanted to make sure that they could still enjoy home birth as well. And the women are given an information leaflet with the photographs of all the members in the home birth team and their contact details. And they also have the contact details of the 24-hour maternity helpline. And it can work however you want this process to work, but we tend to ask the women to ring the maternity helpline out of hours, just in case there's any problems with mobile signals and that kind of thing. They can try our mobiles at any time. And they know that if they don't get an answer, then they would ring the maternity helpline, who would contact the community midwife on call or the home birth team midwife on call. This is the booklet, the Deciding Where to Have Your Baby booklet, which you can access online if you want to look at it on the Peterborough City Hospital website under Birthing Choices. And this is the leaflet that we give to all women with lots of information on it, including the dates and times and venue of our Meet the Team sessions. Just mentioned collaborating because I was lucky to meet Rachel Eden, who's one of our Trust medical photographers, and she also has a background in graphic design, and she helped me create a very professional looking booklet, and I couldn't have done that without her. She also produced the leaflets, some posters for us for the GP surgery, and she's given me a lot of support in that way. We also collaborated with other local groups too. Our referral process was mapped out at the beginning. We designed a paper referral form that community midwives would use when they're booking women, and it would be passed to the Homebirth team. However, in September we went electronic in our hospital. Our bookings are now electronic, and the midwives can do an electronic referral. Women can self-refer. We've got a Homebirth team dedicated email account, so they have that information in the choices booklet, and it's also on the website as well. Care and birth planning. Well, as soon as the named midwife is allocated a woman to her caseload, she will make attempts to contact that woman and schedule her next antenatal check at home. She'll try and do that as soon as possible so the woman knows what's happening. All our appointments follow the NICE guidelines for low-risk care, women with low-risk pregnancies. Obviously, our service is midwife-led and was set up to primarily care for low-risk pregnancies. But of course, some women are wanting to birth at home who have higher risks in their pregnancies, and we support all women in making an informed choice of where to give birth. These women will require additional care from the multidisciplinary team, and we work together on that. And for those women, we would draw up a clinical alert. So this is a birth plan to ensure that everybody in the team knows about the plan of care for that woman. Publicity is important because you need to spread the word as far and wide as you can, and it's easier than ever now, really, I've found, with social media. So the Trust has a Facebook and Twitter account, which the communications department help us with, and we originally set up a blog, but that didn't work quite as well. We found that most of our women used Facebook, so we set up a Homebirth team Facebook recently, Facebook page, where we share information about our events, our Meet the Team events, Homebirth workshops, and we encourage all women, if they want to write their birth story, or an account of their pregnancy and birth, and share it if they want to, either anonymously or with their name to it, which many of them want to do, which is really good because it does help other parents decide where they want to give birth. And this Facebook page has been very successful. In fact, it gets shared so far and wide that we sometimes get people wanting to refer themselves into our service who live way outside of our commissioned boundaries, which is a shame. So hopefully other areas will bring in Homebirth teams too, following the success of the other Homebirth teams that have set up. We monitor the Facebook page very carefully along with the communications department, and we monitor it ourselves as well. And also the posters in the GP surgery also are another point of publicity. It gets other members of the family talking about home birth, so it's a good way to do it as well. We decided to have an official launch, again for more publicity, but also to celebrate what we've done so far. So in September 2015, we had an official launch on the 25th. We invited Cathy Warwick of the Royal College of Midwives to come along, and we invited our mothers, fathers and babies to celebrate with us, our midwifery colleagues, anybody really who would like to come along, with local doulas, NCT, everybody. We photographed the event and publicised it, and it led on to things like requests for magazine articles, and more publicity. So I've done a couple of those. And it's how I got involved with the Better Birth team who asked me to do this webinar. There's a photograph of a few of the people at the launch, some of our mums, dads and babies, some of our supporters. There's only 3 of us in the picture from the Homebirth team because 2 of the team were out actually at Homebirth that day. I've mentioned continuity of carer and continuity of care models, but there is a very useful webinar in this Better Birth series by Kirsty Coxon, which you could have a look at for more information there. There's the whole team. The girls came back from the Homebirth for a photo at the end, which is lovely. So we had we set up Homebirth workshops. We have these every month out in the community to give information to women as much as possible about their choices and about how a home birth works, how they need to prepare, safety, mess, all the things they always want to know. And we have meet the team sessions, as I said, once a month, where we encourage all women to come along and meet the team so that they've at least met any of the midwives that might come to them when they are in labour. And this is what women tell us they want. They don't want to see 3, 4, 5 different midwives during their pregnancy. They want continuity of care. So almost 1 year on, the official figures for us for the last year show that we have increased the home birth rate in our trust by 50%. And our home birth rate is now 1.5%. Transfer in rate is low at 10% overall, and the transfer rate after home birth is 16%. The feedback from women is 100% positive, and the friends and family test responses are 100% positive and 5 stars, which again is good for the trust. The midwives are doing well. They're not burnt out yet, but obviously we're very aware that working in this type of model of care can be very hard work for the midwives, and we need to protect ourselves, and we do work very flexibly with each other. If somebody's tired, then somebody else will cover, and we're very good at that, the team, and we've really gelled in that way. It's now a time for us to take stock of our results, look at the results and analyse them. I need to write an annual report for the Trust Board and present it to them. And we need to look at the way forward for the next year, so redefine our caseloads and hopefully renegotiate how we're working with our caseloads so that we don't get burnt out and that we can continue providing such a good service for women. Here's a few of the biggest challenges, and one of them was undoubtedly the electronic records being introduced partway into our first year. However, we're getting used to it, and the referral process is working well. The biggest issue with the electronic notes is working on your laptop in the community in some rural settings, trying to connect to the server with a dongle. It's very time consuming sometimes, but things are improving in that way. We've learnt some lessons along the way as well, and I'm sure you'll learn your own along the way too. Very important to ensure that you escalate any high-risk issues to the management and the head of midwifery, so that they're aware. She's running and responsible for the maternity services in the hospital, and she needs to be aware of any high-risk cases that are going on. So we're quite good at communicating those to her too. And just a few more thoughts about keeping focused and keep your aims and objectives in mind and don't lose sight of them. There were a few references, and thank you for listening.